Do you know what was special about last month? It was the hottest March on record. Do you know what was special about the month before that? It was the hottest February on record. And the month before that? The hottest January on record. I think you know where this is going. Global temperatures are rising non-stop. The last 10 months have been the hottest on record, the last 10 months. Just look at the average temperature. It was 1.6 degrees Celsius higher than in the 1850s. That's the industrial age. Such temperatures have real-world impact. They have triggered a drought in the Amazon, wildfires in Venezuela, and another drought in southern Africa. In Western Africa, there's a heat wave. Mali seems to be the worst affected. More than 100 people have been killed by the relentless heat there. And how high did the mercury go? In some places, 48.5 degrees Celsius. It's important to put this temperature in context. Northern Mali is mostly desert. There's virtually no vegetation there. Plus, healthcare is a luxury. The capital, Bamako, has around 4,000 medics. The rest of the country has just 3,500. So such heat waves can be a death sentence. And you know the worst part? Mali is not responsible for this erratic climate. Their emissions are negligible, less than 0.01% of the world's total. 0.01%. Yet the people of Mali are paying the price. And that's climate change for you. Is there any way we can stop this from happening? Well, activists have tried many methods. We've seen traditional protests and sit-downs. We've also seen borderline vigilantism, things like throwing soup at paintings or raiding government buildings. Great for headlines, not so great for getting work done. But now a new method is emerging. Climate litigation, taking your government to court. We spoke about this yesterday. India's Supreme Court gave an important verdict. It said citizens must be protected from the effects of climate change. The court linked it to a fundamental right. And today we saw another verdict, this time from the European Court of Human Rights. This lawsuit was filed by a group of elderly Swiss women. And their complaint? The Swiss government was not doing enough to tackle climate change. That was their complaint. As a result, they had been left vulnerable. And the court agreed with them. It said the Swiss government was at fault and that the inaction violated some fundamental human rights. Now, this verdict is important for a couple of reasons. One, it's the first such verdict by this court. And two, it could affect 46 countries. That's how wide the court's jurisdiction is. But could it offer a template for the future? Listen to this.
And this is only the beginning of climate litigation. All over the world, more and more people are taking their government to court, holding them responsible for their actions. And this, the results of this can mean in no way that we lean back. This means that we have to fight even more.
And data supports this. In 2017, the United Nations reported 884 climate litigations. By 2022, it had reached more than 2,000. So clearly, the lawsuits are increasing, and you can see why. Governments are not responding to public pressure. They promise to cut carbon emissions, yet they keep investing in fossil fuels. So what else can citizens do? They've tried protesting, they've tried hooliganism. So now they're approaching courts. But can these lawsuits really make a difference? That depends on two factors. Number one is the judges. You see, most constitutions do not mention climate change. They were drafted in a different time, a time when climate change was not understood. So you won't find explicit mentions of this issue. And that's where judges come in. They can choose to expand the scope of existing laws. Just take India, for example, and let me quote from the recent Supreme Court verdict. This is what the court said. The right to equality under Article 14 and the right to life under Article 21 must be appreciated in the context of the decisions of this court, the actions and commitments of the state, and scientific consensus on climate change and its adverse effects. And just to be clear, Articles 14 and 21 already exist in India's constitution. They guarantee right to equality and life. So the court said it applies to climate change as well. Other national courts could do the same. It's about perspective and will, which brings us to the second factor, and that is enforcement. Again, this is uncharted territory. When a person is illegally arrested, we know what the recourse is. The court can say, release them. But what's the recourse for climate change? Can the court stop governments from investing in fossil fuel? Can they force governments to implement emission cuts? These are all tricky questions, but they're also important ones. Human rights have changed and evolved with the times, and we have depended on courts to protect those rights. No reason why climate change should be any different.